Hello everyone. This year, it's our 50th birthday, our 50th anniversary, and with 50 years, we have a 50-year history of giving back. In the spirit of giving, collective and community action, the power within that to be able to support communities both in Singapore and abroad. This proverb on screen relates to UWC's long-standing fundraising initiatives. As a collective, we have always turned our ideas into action, and without the informed action, our mission is just an aspiration without outcomes. Now, you may have heard of marathon days of the past, and they should only be described as crazy. Students came up with their own challenges and pledges to raise funds which were then used to run the service program of the day. This was a time before we defined service into our local, college, and global categories. Students decided to do challenging marathons such as 48 hours straight of a card game, or sitting up in a tree for 36 hours. The community came together, and they were times of fun and success. So I know these references were well before the birth dates of students that are currently in the school. It sounds like ancient history, but it's important and interesting to know the positive actions of what's come before us. We are a generation that is a long continuum of 50 years of creativity, passion, and service. One of the first marathon days was in 1978 and saw a truly large spectrum of fundraising ideas, including students sleeping in trees. These events would raise upwards of $10,000 annually for fundraising initiatives that the students would focus on. Another marathon day was in 1984, because a major famine devastated Ethiopia, and the news of the unimaginable tragedy brought people from all across the world to join appeals. It brought famous musicians and singers together and launched Bob Geldof on a very different life path to use his skills as the famous lead singer of Boomtown Rats into the world of development where he's dedicated his life, organizing famous events such as Live Aid and creating music with royalties reaching millions for charity. Students at Uwcsea were inspired by his and the world's actions and blended the 1984 day with the Ethiopian appeal and raised just under $11,000, a princely sum for then. This is a photo taken in 1997 and is a picture of the second last marathon day. One Saturday morning, the entire student and staff body met at McCritchie. We met our service partners there, and the high school students hosted not only our service clients, but also our grade 4 students, who were the youngest grade level at the time. They went on a walk for miles, shared morning tea, had bags stolen by monkeys, and raised funds through pledges for our service program. The last marathon day was held in the year 2000. Marathon days then finished and were renamed to become UWC Day. Then when the UWC movement turned 50 in 2012, all the UWCs decided to celebrate UWC Day on September the 21st, International Peace Day. And so it has been for the past 10 years to date. If you wanted to find out more about this ancient UWC history, you can ask people around the campus, like Mr. Hopwood, Mr. Odia, Miss Olchin, Miss Bray, Mr. Hunter, Miss Edwards, Mr. Hill, Miss Martins, Miss Hill, Mr. Meehan, Miss Kelland, Miss Berman, Mr. O, Mr. McKnight, Miss Lewis, Mr. Wills, Miss Drudy, Madam Pearson, Senora Pilar, Mr. Fozzard, Mr. Woolrich, Mr. Fox, Miss Fox, Mr. Tranter. There are many more you can ask and about the history of coming together as a community, combining our spirit of giving, our service, and simply having fun. On the other hand, focus days are one of the staple pieces of UWC-SEA tradition, with the first being in response to the Ethiopian famine. They have been organized and continue to run as a way of raising awareness, a shared understanding of major events, especially a collective response to disasters, and to address issues of human rights. Again, these are important ways to build our understanding of social and environmental justice. It's just another way to address our mission. It seems that over the generations, we love the opportunity to come to school out of uniform, and we have donated money to do so. Who could blame the students of that generation of the brown and blue combo uniform? Often focus days have a fundraising element, especially when we know that fundraising for relief efforts are required. Together, our community over the years has made a significant impact upon disaster relief efforts, none more so than our community's extraordinary generosity after the 2004 Asian tsunami. But more about that in a minute. We have held focus days for Cambodia, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, the Philippines, Myanmar, Ladakh, Thailand, Vietnam, Pakistan, India, and Somalia, for relief from floods, typhoons, famine, drought, acts of terrorism, tsunamis, earthquakes, forced evictions, the haze, and for human rights atrocities. We have had important and difficult conversations and raised significant amounts of money for our GC partners and other NGOs. One UWC Day, we raised funds to provide a scholarship to a refugee. This is a pretty impressive effort from a pretty generous community. Focus days are also held during Right for Rights Week, on UWC Days and International Women's Day, and have been held on World AIDS Day, Cancer Awareness Days, and just a few of the many. Billy Thomas, pictured in the center of the photo, created what became the iconic UWC SEA bandana, one of which is on display outside the library. Bandana Day was a pretty amazing focus day in 2009. We all purchased bandanas and wore them on the day. It was a creative way to raise funds and awareness. I said that the bandanas are iconic, and absolutely they are. They have been signed by some pretty famous people, including Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian of all time, John Wood, founder of Room to Read, famous tennis players, golfers, and also by Mr. Sir Bob Geldof. Remember, the man behind the Live Aid show. You can check out some of the famous faces in the service office. We have sold them, again, for our GC program. On Boxing Day, December 26, 2004, an underground earthquake measuring 9.3 Richters triggered the most devastating tsunami in history, affecting Aceh province, North Sumatra, Indonesia, Thailand, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, southern India, the Andaman Islands, and as far as some East African countries. We held a focus day. Each grade level held events, often multiple. Many of them were sponsored for our tsunami's relief efforts. All the GCs banded together and each one held a fundraising event for this collective effort. We held fundraising dinners. Students gave their birthday money. Parents donated generously. Everyone did so much. Together, we raised over $1 million. The Aceh project was a 15-year project. We rebuilt a junior high school, built multi-purpose courts so children could play sports again. We conducted teacher training. We selected and welcomed scholars from Aceh, for 7 generations of Achenese who are now working in the fields of health, education, business, and environmental stewardship. A significant event that we ran was a 52-hour-long game of basketball, which the Guinness Book of World Records recognized as the longest attempt at the time. Donnie and Agung, our Chinese players, one played with UWC and one with Republic Poly. You can see the frame-signed shirt and read the story. It's in the sports hall, in the stairwell going up to the gym. Everyone who saw the event wore red and white. Everyone came to watch during their breaks and lunchtimes and hung out after school. Some students slept in the bleachers overnight as the game continued for 53.5 hours. When we just stopped the clock, the students wanted to continue. Hundreds were in the sports hall when we stopped playing. It was an exhausting, exhilarating time. Our community galvanized in collective support. Republic Polytechnic joined us in the challenge, as did the two Archinese basketball players, survivors of the tsunami, who, as it happened, had been playing basketball that Sunday morning when the tsunami struck. The jewel in the crown of this massive tsunami relief effort was the Tsunami Education Fund, or the TEF, established to support children who were made orphans by this disaster and ensure that they were going to continue their education. Over the next 10 years, UWC-SEA's TEF supported over 100 children through high school and many on to tertiary education. A marathon bike ride from Singapore to Phuket was undertaken by teachers Wayne Fozzard, Angelo Koskinas, Doug Wills, Steve Webster, and Phil Woolridge. Sponsorship from this ride created the seed fund for the TEF. This year's Giving Day draws inspiration from past marathon days, from our focus days, and this is a very special Giving Day, extending over 36 hours with a focus on scholarships, to bring our very special UWC educational experience to many more deserving students, including an Afghan woman, through the UWC Afghan Youth Scholarship Appeal. So it's been really interesting researching for this presentation. I do hope that you can better understand that our school, our ethos, our values stem from a long history of giving. UWC's original objective, an education for peace, justice, and understanding 50 years on, is still very relevant. On our 50th birthday, we are able to come together as a community to give so that others are given an opportunity, and with an additional focus for us to support young Afghan women to attend a UWC. On the right is my K2 self on that bandana day back in 2009. It's important to remember that we are all part of this big UWC past, present, and future.